Good morning, students. This is your teacher Neelam Elawat, and I hope you've understood what we have discussed yesterday. Yesterday we have spoken about the different evidences that support the evolution. I hope you've understood. So, can you name all the evidences? Just tell me the categories of evidences that are there. Yes. Yes, very good. So, we have embryological evidence, we have paleontological evidences, we have homology, we have analogy, isn't it? So, I know that you've read it. Okay, so we'll continue the same topic further. Now, after this, there was a theory of natural selection. I hope you've heard this name. Can you tell me who has proposed the theory of natural selection? Very good. That's true, everyone. So it was proposed by Darwin. Okay, it was proposed by Darwin. Now Darwin basically he made a sea voyage. Do you know what is a sea voyage? That means he traveled through the sea. Okay, and his the name of the ship is HMS Beagle. So he had his own ship, that is MHS Beagle, and he traveled across the world through the sea. And while he was traveling during his voyage, when he was traveling through different parts of the world, he made certain observations. Okay, he made certain observations, and based on the observations, he concluded, and those conclusions they are today called as theory of natural selection. Now let's study what he has actually observed. The first thing that he observed is that the living organisms, they share similarities to various degrees. Living organism, जितने भी organism available हैं, वो एक दूसरे से similar हैं. ठीक है? they एक दूसरे से similar हैं, and they are not only similar to themselves, they are also similar to the life forms that existed millions of years ago. तो आज जो organism अर्थ पर available हैं, वो आपस में similar हैं. ठीक है, और ना केवल वो आपस में सिमिलर हैं, बल्कि वो जो ऑर्गेनिजम्स अर्थ पर पहले एग्जिस्ट करते थे, दे एग्जिबिट सिमिलैरिटीज टू दोज ऑर्गेनिजम्स ऑल्सो. द सेकेंड कंक्लूजन दैट ही मेड इज दैट ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ द टाइम every individual or every organism has modified itself. Okay, every organism has modified itself, so there is a gradual evolution of all life forms. Means every individual, every species has evolved during the lifetime. During this course of evolution, some have become extinct also. Some species, they became extinct also. Clear? Any population has built-in variations in characteristics. So there is no population which does not exhibit variations. Even अगर हम एक population की बात करते हैं, तो उस population में भी dissimilarities हैं, variations हैं. चलिए मैं आपके लिए example ले लेती हूँ. Suppose if I talk about the eye color in human beings. So human beings is a population, isn't it? Now, अगर human beings की eye color को हम observe करते हैं, तो we find that nobody, you can say, all of them, they do not have the same color. There is a variation in color of eyes, isn't it? So, any population has built-in variation. So, all populations, don't take it as any. It means all populations has built-in variations. हर population में variation है, ठीक है? In the characteristics. Then the fourth point that he concluded is this: the individuals, the characteristic which helps an individual to survive better in the natural conditions, right? That characteristic will overcome the other characteristic. चलिए इस point को मैं आपको समझाती हूँ. Suppose करिए, I hope in 10th class you remember the color of beetles. You know color of beetles. If you didn't, I'm explaining. Suppose करिए the beetles color is green. Okay, the color of beetles is green, and these green color beetles, they are found on the leaf. Okay, Now what is the color of leaf, dear students? The leaf is green. So can you locate the green beetles on green leaf? No. So this green color, it helps in the survival of beetles. Okay, this green color, it will help this beetles to survive, because their predator will not be able to detect the presence of beetles on the leaves. So this green color favors their survival, right? So the characteristic which favors the survival will dominate, isn't it? So the beetles which are of green color, they will be more, isn't it? They are more adapted to live on the green leaf. So जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक किसी ऑर्गेनिज्म को सर्वाइवल में हेल्प करती है, वो नेचर उसे फेवर करती है. ठीक है, नेचर उस कैरेक्टरिस्टिक को फेवर करती है इन कंपैरिजन टू अदर कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स. And that is why we say that this accounts for the fitness of the individual. Okay, and this is what the Darwin said, the fitness of the individual. And he ultimately used the term reproductive fitness. Since the green beetles, they will be difficult for a predator to detect on the green leaf, so they will survive more. The number of survival green beetles will be more. So they will produce more number of green beetles, isn't it? So the survival chances of green beetles would increase in comparison to the red color beetles or the blue color beetles. Now suppose अगर leaf पर red color की beetles मौजूद है, so the leaf is of green color and the beetles, they are of red color. So the predator can easily detect the red color beetles and the prey will eat more of red beetles, isn't it? Because they are easily captured by him, easily detected by him. Okay, so the organisms, or you can say the green beetles, they have more chances of survival because the predator cannot detect them on the leaf. Right? Clear? So the green beetles, they will reproduce more and they will produce large number of individuals. And these large number of individuals will be more fit in comparison to the red color beetles. So we can say in nature, the green color beetles will have more survival chances in comparison to the red color beetles, and thus they are selected by the nature, they will survive better and they will increase in population. Now second thing is branching descent and the natural selection. These are two concepts of Darwinism theory of selection. Now जो Darwin ने जो concept दिया natural selection, I hope you have understood. तो जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक किसी ऑर्गेनिज्म को एनवायरनमेंट में सर्वाइव करने में हेल्प करती है, नेचर उसे सेलेक्ट करती है, एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड नेचुरल सिलेक्शन, एंड दैट ऑर्गेनिज्म विल बी मोर फिट टू द एनवायरनमेंट. क्लियर? सो ब्रांचिंग डिसेंट मीन्स द इंडिविजुअल्स, descent means parents to child. So that information will pass from parents to children and from children to their children. Right, everyone? So Darwin considered natural selection as the mechanism of evolution. So according to the Darwin, so each organism modifies itself depending upon the environment in which he is living, and he becomes better selected, and thus the natural selection will result in evolution. Now along with the Darwin, there was another naturalist which is called Alfred Wallace, who was also working in other part of the world, and he also concluded certain facts, that is, new life forms arise and evolve in due course of time. जैसे जैसे as the earth goes in different phases of the time, so new organisms will arise and they will evolve, they will adapt themselves to the environment. All the existing organisms, they will have some similarities and they will also have common ancestors. If they are showing similarities, this means they had some common ancestor. And these ancestors, they must have lived at different periods in the history of earth. और वो कभी ना कभी अर्थ पर एग्जिस्ट करते थे and they were in different periods. The geological history closely relates with the biological history. मतलब जो वक्त के साथ ऑर्गेनिजम्स के शेप्स एंड साइज और उनकी बायोलॉजिकल स्ट्रक्चर में जो चेंजेस इवॉल्व हुए हैं, दे आर क्लोजली रिलेटेड विद ईच अदर. So geological history is related with the biological history of an organism. The rate of appearance of new life forms is linked to the life cycle. Means एक organism कितने new organisms को पैदा करेगा, it will depends upon how much time he will live on the surface of the earth. Right? जिसका लाइफ स्पैन ज़्यादा होगा वो ज़्यादा organisms को it will result in the birth of large number of organisms. Just for example, if we see like your microorganisms, they divide every 20 minutes. So if they live for thousands of years, we will find that the population of bacteria or microbes will be maximum. But we observe that their lifespan, they live only for a few days. Large animals, they live for millions of years. Isn't it? Some of them, they live for millions of years. And some of them, they live for 100 of years or 70 or 50 years. Right? So the lifespan is related with the rate of appearance of new life on the surface of earth. The term fitness is related with the genetics. How organism is perfectly fit to the environment. वो कितने अच्छे से अपने आप को environment से adapt कर लेता है, और ये हमारी ability to adapt जो है ये हमारे genes में होती है कि हम कितने अच्छे से environment को adapt कर सकते हैं. Okay, and this adaptive ability is inherited. Okay everyone, adaptive ability is inherited. Like आप गुस्से temperament of human beings, you must have observed कि अगर if you see it, compare two children, you will find one is very short tempered, another is very patient. तो जो patience है और ये short temperedness है, ये inherited character है. And fitness is always related with the ability to adapt. हम ऑर्गेनिज्म की फिटनेस को हमेशा वो कितने अच्छे से अपने एनवायरनमेंट को अडाप्ट कर सकता है उससे रिलेट करते हैं. सो फिटनेस इज ऑलवेज रिलेटेड विद द एबिलिटी टू अडाप्ट, एंड इफ दैट एबिलिटी हेल्प्स एन ऑर्गेनिज्म टू सर्वाइव, then the nature will also favor that ability. Okay, so natural selection is based on certain factual things. Your natural selection is based on certain factual things. First is, we know that natural resources, they are limited. So if populations are stable in size, okay, so you will find generally the populations, they will be stable in size. Size means the number will remain more or less constant, except some seasonal fluctuations. Seasonal fluctuation means if there is a breeding season, so suddenly you will find there is an increase in the number of individuals, while you will find that the size of the population is nearly same. As I said, this is a factual thing. Second is the number of populations. Okay, the number of populations that show variation in every characteristic, right? The number of individuals in a population that showing variation regarding characteristic are not identical. Means if there are two persons, both will be different from each other. So the variation which is present in first individual will be quite different from the characteristics which are present in the second individual. So किसी भी दो individuals में no two individuals will have same variations. Variations in each individual will be different, and thus their ability to adapt will also be different. ये दोनों individuals एक जैसे हो सकते हैं, similarities हो सकती हैं इनमें दिखने में, right? लेकिन उनकी ability है जो है adapt करने की, वो दोनों में different होगी. Theoretically, if we talk about, the population size will grow exponentially. अगर हमारे पास resources unlimited हैं तो individuals they will utilize Resources means like your food and temperature, they're all optimum. So individuals, they will eat lot of food, they will multiply, and a large number of individuals will be produced, and thus the maximum capacity will be reached. ठीक है, एक इंडिविजुअल है या 10 इंडिविजुअल्स हैं, अगर उन्हें प्रॉपर खाना मिलता है, प्रॉपर एटमॉस्फेयर मिलता है, सो दे विल ईट फूड एंड दे विल रिप्रोड्यूस एंड मल्टीप्लाई, सो दे विल प्रोड्यूस मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स. एज वी कैन सी इन बैक्टीरियाज, अगर उन्हें हम एक ऑप्टिमम एनवायरनमेंट देते हैं तो दे विल मल्टीप्लाई एक्सपोनेंशियली. जो उनकी रेट होगी वो फास्टेस्ट होगी, और वो in small amount of time they will reach the maximum capacity. But in nature we see that the size of a population is limited because there is a competition among individuals. नेचर में हम देखते हैं कि एक पॉपुलेशन है, रिसोर्सेज अगर हमारे पास अनलिमिटेड हैं भी तो इंडिविजुअल्स में कंपटीशन होता है, एंड द वन हु गेट्स द रिसोर्स, okay, there is a competition between the individuals. The one who gets the resource means he is better adapted to the environment and he will reproduce and will leave more number of individuals, right? So अगर हम दो individuals को compare करते हैं, one will be 100% stronger and the other will be weaker. So if they are fighting for food, so the one who is stronger will win and will utilize the food, while the weaker one will not be able to get the food. So even though resources are unlimited, even then the individual will not be able in a position to multiply rapidly. And this insight of Darwin, okay, this insight means he was able to see, he could able to analyze the natural characteristics and he could project the consequences. So he was able to assert that heritable variations make the resources utilization better. ठीक है, तो जो ऑर्गेनिज्म ज़्यादा फिट होगा उसी को रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल होंगी और वही रिप्रोड्यूस करेगा, और उसके मरने के बाद वही उसी इंडिविजुअल की पॉपुलेशन का नंबर ज़्यादा होगा, क्योंकि वही रिसोर्सेज को यूटिलाइज कर सकता है better in comparison to other individuals which were there. So he was more fit to the environment, he was able to, that particular organism was able to reproduce and would leave more number of individuals after his death or after generation, right? And this is what we call speciation. Speciation means formation of new life forms or formation of new species. So जो organism fit है environment में, that will only lead to speciation. Rest all who are not so fit to the environment will slowly and gradually may become extinct, or their number will be less in nature. Now there are some evidences that prove the concept of natural selection that the Darwin has proposed. And the very first example that I'm talking about here is industrial madness. Okay, this example is very, very interesting, dear students. I'll here compare the two moths. Okay, so there are two moths. One is white-winged moth and another is grey-winged moth. Okay, everyone? Let's see, I'm showing you some photos. Just observe this. See, this is a grey-colored moth and this is a white-colored moth. Now, I'm comparing these moths in two areas. One where is no, it is not, first area is unpolluted area. Okay, the first area is unpolluted area and second area is a polluted area. Okay, this is a polluted area. Just compare the background, both the moths, they live on the trees, the trunk of trees. Just observe and compare. Just observe and compare. What do you think? Which will survive better in which condition? Hello everyone. Just compare them and tell me which will survive better in which condition. In first case, you see, when there is no pollution. Okay, there is no pollution. So the wood, the color of the wood is brownish in color. Okay, the color of the wood is brownish in color. In second case, where there is a pollution, the wood, or you can say tree trunks, they have become dark in color. Okay, so we can say there were two moths, and we'll compare the survival ability in two conditions. One is in clear environment, which is called unpolluted area, and second is a scenario which is after industrialization. So the first photograph, it talks about the environment which was in the 1850s. Okay, this kind of environment was there in 1850s, while second environment existed after industrialization in 1920s. जो हमारा सेकेंड एग्जाम्पल है वो 1920s का फोटोग्राफ है और 1920s में एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है. In the first, you look at this, in the first photograph, this white moth, since the background was light, this white moth was able to blend itself with the tree trunks and was not easily detectable. Okay, it was not very easily detectable. So this kind of moth, it was mostly prevalent in 1850s. देखिए जो अनपोल्यूटेड टाइम था 1850s में क्या था कि जो वाइट मॉथ है वो ट्री ट्रंक्स पे डिटेक्ट नहीं होती थी. द प्रेडेटर वॉज नॉट एबल टू डिटेक्ट इट. ओके, बिकॉज द बैकग्राउंड वॉज ऑल्सो वेरी लाइट. Clear? But as the area became polluted in 1920s because of industrialization, the tree trunks, they became dark in color. And because they became dark in color, this white color could easily be spotted on the tree trunks. तो जो ये white color की moth है बहुत आसानी से tree trunks पे available दिख जाती थी predators को. Clear? So they were picking, they were eating, the predators, they were eating the white colored moths after industrialization. So you can see, we can compare the survival ability in both the conditions. In second condition, the white moths, they were not able to survive because the background was white. Okay, because the background was white. So in this case, the chances of survival of grey colored moth was better. While in the first example, the survival of the white color moth was better. The ability to survive was better. But as the conditions changed, as the atmosphere changed, the ability of white-winged moth to be detected on the dark-colored wood plants was you can say could be easily detected. So the predator could easily pick them up, and thus the number of slowly and gradually the number of white-colored moth decreased. So from this example, we can confer that in a mixed population, the individuals, okay, in a mixed population, the individuals that can better adapt themselves to the changing environment, they will survive and increase and result in increase in their population size. While the organism which is not able to fit itself into the environment will be slowly and gradually become extinct. Okay, will become extinct. So this was the concept that I talked about. So there were two moths, one is dark colored moth, another was the grey colored moth. So initially the white color moths, it survived on the trees, and the white color was being eaten by the predators. But slowly and gradually, as the population, as because of the pollution, after the industrialization, as I said, the tree trunks, they became dark because of deposition of soot and smoke. So now your white colored moth could be easily detected, and thus the predators, they were eating more and more of white colored moths. Okay, everyone? Right. The last concept that we have, resistance to chemicals. See, we know that nowadays in case of agriculture also, in our homes also, the use of pesticides and insecticides has greatly increased, isn't it? And there are some organisms which adapt themselves. Okay, they become resistant to those chemicals, so they will survive better. Likewise, the example, when you spray DDT, initially when DDT was introduced in India, so when DDT was sprayed, the mosquitoes, they used to die. But later on, these mosquitoes, they have evolved a mechanism. They have become resistant to DDT. So now when you spray DDT, they won't die. They have they have become resistant to DDT. So that also helps in survival. Okay, so same happens with all other animals also. Now generally I give an example. Suppose if you talk about, we used to have a Disprin, isn't it? When we used to have headache, we used to take Disprin, isn't it? So initially we used to have a single Disprin. Nowadays we take 2 Disprins. So slowly and gradually we are also becoming habitual or resistant to these chemicals. Okay, so the microbes or the bacteria which could resist the chemicals, the chances of their survival will be better. So जो बैक्टीरियाज हैं, स्मॉल ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं, अगर वो पर्टिकुलर केमिकल के रेजिस्टेंट हो जाते हैं तो उनकी सर्वाइवल एबिलिटी बेटर हो जाती है एंड दे विल सर्वाइव बेटर इन द एनवायरनमेंट. So these are the examples of evolution of anthropogenic action, means the evolution that occurred due to the humans. Okay, so this evolution has occurred because of the humans. So we can say evolution is not a direct process, but it is a stochastic process. Stochastic process means it is a random distribution. Okay, it is a random process that may not be predicted very accurately. तो ये एक ऐसा process है जिसको हम predict नहीं कर सकते हैं what will happen. It will depend upon the environment and it will depend upon how does organism respond to it. So your evolution is not a direct process, it is a stochastic process. Probability है, chance factor है, right? And that is based on the chance events in nature and mutation organisms. So it completely depends upon the nature and secondly the chances, or you can say mutations, that will be occurring in the organisms. Clear everyone? Okay. So this is an example. Suppose you had bacteria. So now you can say the blue color designates the normal bacteria and yellow color is designating a resident bacteria. तो हमने जब पहली बार DDT स्प्रे किया तो बहुत सारे जो थे नॉर्मल बैक्टीरियाज थे, फिर एक बैक्टीरिया ऐसा था जो रेजिस्टेंट था. तो स्लोली एंड ग्रेजुअली क्या हुआ, the blue bacteria, they died because they could not adapt themselves to DDT. Now this yellow, it multiplied and the number of yellow bacteria, it has increased. So they became adapted, they modify themselves as per the requirement. Coming to the artificial selection also. As I said, there are humans also that help in the changing the, you can say, they help in the evolution. They help in the artificial selection. If we talk about different varieties of mango, see today we see wide varieties of mango, wide variety of wheat, wide variety of rice. So all these new varieties that have come, they are because of the artificial selection. The breeds of animals like your cow, buffalo, poultry and in crops, they're all because of the artificial selection, means the selection which is done by the human beings. So coming to your homework, dear students, first of all you will make notes of this topic and you will go through the page numbers 131 and 132. So very minutely you will read your chapter. Each line is important of NCERT. Read it and if there is any doubt, please let me know that. Okay everyone? So that's all for today. Bye everyone.